Okay. Hello, everyone, and greetings from Finland. My name is Matti Rautiainen, and I will now present you with a topic: how does Finland foster democratic citizens from knowledge, understanding to participatory culture? First, some facts of Finland, what kind of a society we have, what kind of a democratic society is constructed here between Russia and Sweden, and then I will focus on education for democracy in Finland during these days and some scenarios also for the future. I'm working at the University of Jyväskylä. It's in the mid of Finland. We call it the place where Finnish teacher education has been born, because the first Finnish-speaking teacher education seminar or college was founded here in 1863. I'm working here as a teacher educator, focused on educational sciences, but also especially the relationship between society and education, school, which means in our society the relationship between democracy and school. This has been under my developmental work as well as studies since early 2000s, so I've been doing this quite a long time and also have been written many books, tens of articles and other kind of texts also for media and especially for the newspapers. So I have quite a long experience and also curiosity as a researcher for this topic. And also I have joined many different kind of projects as well as national programs under this theme during past decades. I think Finland is known in a global context from its society, especially its education, but also Finland is representing one of the 5 Nordic countries, which have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. Finland is quite interesting country because we say, or at least UN World Happiness say, that Finland is the world's happiest country, or we have the happiest people in the world. Also, we have been very successful country in all international democracy surveys during past 10-20 years. And I think there is several reasons for this. One of this is that we have a very informal society. In that photo you see on the right side is our previous Prime Minister of National Government, Sanna Marin, and she's walking there with her Swedish colleague few years ago, and I think our Prime Minister, the previous Prime Minister, reflects and symbolizes something which is very familiar for us. We have low hierarchies in the society, but on the other hand, we have a very strong trust and confidence, for example, towards public institutes like school, the parliament, national government, justice, and so on and so on. We are also pretty straightforward. We are usually quite silent, but what we say, that what we say, we usually mean it. We are pretty equal society. We don't have huge differences between the rich people and the poor people. and it is of course balanced by the state of Finland. We have very informal culture, as I already said, low hierarchies, and I think we have quite a good possibility for all individuals to have a feel of possibility for meaningful life, which is important in democracy. Freedom is one of the key concepts of a democracy, but also the feeling that we really care for our other people in our society, and we don't just go on with the ration, but also with the emotion towards other people. However, we are still a pretty relatively homogeneous country, and it's pretty easy to live here in the society, and I think that's maybe the key reason why we have been many years #1 in United Nations World Happiness Report. But as many countries in the world, we are also facing polarization, not only in politics, but all around in the society. And there are, more and more blocs who have very different ideas or visions or thoughts of things, how society, for example, should be running. Here is a slide of our cultural and historical background. Hundreds of years we were part of Swedish rule till 1809, and that time gives us the basis for the society, for its values, for its many institutions, and for, how would I say, the part as a Swedish rule connected us for the Western Europe and for the Western European development, and we have a Lutheran religion, but we have many of political institutions came from Sweden. Also, the law basics of the law, etc., etc. So that's the reason why we are still quite close of each others. On the other hand, we had over 100 years as part of Russian Empire since 1809 till our national independence 1970s. But Finland had an autonomous Grand Duchy position as part of the Russian Empire, and that was important, of course, especially during the liberal czars like Alexander II, who, for example, gave many orders for the Senate of Finland to develop Finnish area in Finland, for example, its school development in 1850s. We became part of Russia during as consequences of a French Revolution. We got our national independence as part and consequences of Russian Empire, Russian Revolution in 1917, and after the independence in 1917, we had quite a hard real civil war between the Reds and the Whites, so it had a very, very strong political background, and many decades independence was based on the power of the winning part of this civil war, the white ones, the conservatives, and but since 1960s, partly already after Second World War, in 40s and 50s, also the red ones, especially the Social Democrat Party, has had a strong position in our political field, and its power has been very important, especially when constructing the welfare state since 1960s, which is once again a thing that connects all Nordic countries. But still, for example, when comparing our school systems, we have also a lot of differences. We have been a republic since 1918, but before that, our parliament decided that we would have a king and kingdom as a Finnish political system, the head of Finnish political system. But because the Germany, where the king was selected, lost the Second World War. Second World War, the king never arrived to Finland, and thus Parliament made another decision and thought that maybe the Republic would be the better one. We had already a lot of experience of the activities in Parliament, and for example, our women citizens got the possibility to participate for selections and also as a candidates in 1906. And Finland is the first country in the world where women could also be candidates in national parliament elections. But the way I would still describe Finnish society is the welfare state. This is representing welfare state values and implementation, even if during, let's say, past 20 years, there has been also discussion of how much do we have afford for different kind of parts of welfare state. And of course, school has been maybe the most crystallized part of this welfare state, because school gave many of us possibility to approach the meaningful life in the society by getting a good education and good working places in the society, etc. But I will talk more about this later in my presentation. We have a representative democracy. It's very stable, based on the distribution of power between the parliament as a legislative power. Then we have, of course, independent justice courts, and then the national government, which is usually representing the majority of the parliament members. We run civil society. We have a lot of different organization, association, etc., working in local and national level. This society function pretty well. We have trust for local and national governance, and things go pretty easy here. And we have solution-oriented system, which has quite a practical orientation. If we face problems, we try to solve them, and not only by those who are in power, but traditionally with a consensus with all political parties. But I have to say that during past 10-20 years, as I already said, polarization has become more visible part of our society, and thus solution-oriented system, I think, doesn't work as well as it was working in the history, because the blocs see that it's not possible to do cooperation with some parties, for example, in the parliament, because they are representing, for example, two right-wing values and thoughts. And here you see our political power in parliament nowadays. We have a national government representing right-wing political parties. There is the biggest political party in Finland, the National Coalition Party. You could say it also as a conservative party. Then we have Finns Party, which is a right-wing party. Swedish People's Party, representing mostly the Swedish speakers in Finland. We have two official languages in Finland, Finnish language and Swedish language. And then the fourth party in our national government is Christian Democrats. And now in opposition there is a Social Democratic Party. The previous prime minister I showed you, Sanna Marin, was then the leader of the Social Democratic Party. Then we have Centre Party, which has been quite a strong actor in Finnish politics. Green League, Left Alliance, and then we have two smaller ones, Movement Now and one independent member in the parliament. Well, is school a reflection of the democratic society? It should be, I think so, but also it's not just a reflection of the society, but I think school is very strongly, or at least it has a possibility to be a proactive movement or proactive place in the society where, school can implement and construct a society which is more democratic, representing democratic activities and thoughts that are not so strong yet in the society. And when thinking about the education for democracy, schools' role in society is very, very strong. If you think about, for example, classical environments, spaces, classrooms in school, it's pretty difficult to construct democracy in classrooms where there is a lot of rows with the desks and seats, compared, for example, for this picture on the right side, where there are open spaces where you can really meet, face, talk with people, and those kind of environments and spaces makes democracy more possible than the classical ones. It doesn't mean that it's not possible in the old buildings, for example. You can create, teachers can create spaces in school in the way they want, but of course new kind of school buildings, they are representing also the future and the importance of meeting people, interaction, action, participation, and so on, which are the key words in the school discussion nowadays in Finnish society. How can we make participation more visible and more achievable for students, and how can we make a good interaction between people possible in school, and at the same time guarantee that they learn the basic things in school? That's a key question, I think. So the country who makes the innovation connecting those two things, strong participatory culture, good learning results, is the school and the country of the future. We have one very special person in Finnish history who has had a lot of power when thinking about the school development in Finland and thoughts behind the school. It's of course Uno Sygneus. We call him father of Finnish school and teacher education because in 1850s, when the Tsar Alexander II gave the order for Finnish Senate to develop Finnish schools, it was Uno Sygneus who made the plan for the curriculum and the organization of schools in Finland. And actually, even if it was over 160 years ago, schools still have quite a lot of familiarities when comparing it with the school of Uno's time. And he had also a very strong influence for teacher education in Finland, because we didn't have any professional teachers before the school system was founded. And then, of course, we needed the teacher education college where qualified teachers would be educated. And once again, it was Uno Sygneus who made the plan for that, and he was the first head or director of the teacher education seminar in Jyväskylä, founded 1863. When thinking about other important educational theoretists or philosophers, I think John Dewey's influence for the school in Finland nowadays, and especially for the thoughts how learning should be implemented, how teaching should be implemented, has been very important. But when thinking about the history of Finnish school system, Uno Sygneus' role is the most important. Here is some facts about Finnish school system. Education is free at all levels. Amount of private schools is very small. No school inspection in Finland. No national tests for pupils in basic education. And it's pupils of children in Finland, when they start their school way, they go usually to the nearest school, and that's reflecting quite well the idea of trust towards school and teachers. They do not do school shopping. They trust that the teachers and the school near for their houses or their apartments is the best one, and they select it. Very important character when thinking about this trust is that we have very qualified teachers all around Finland, and they have very broad autonomy and pedagogical freedom in their work. Teachers really are autonomous, independent, and trusted professionals. They have also all has to have a master's degree to be qualified teachers. Even if also primary school teachers who are teaching classes 1 to 6 in Finland, but also subject teachers who are teaching classes 7 to 9 in lower secondary school and classes 1 to 3 in upper secondary school. This is very flexible system, very simple system, quite equal system, based on the idea of very qualified teachers who are autonomous, independent, and trusted professionals, as I already said. When thinking about the principles of education for democracy in Finnish school, I think it's at the core of the heart of the school. When thinking about the normative basis of Finnish schools and what is said in political or other papers in national level concerning school. And it is following the representative idea of democracy. When thinking about the most visible parts of the schools and democracy, they are without any doubts students' councils, which are mandatory in each school. But these are more or less, it's paper. It's different thing how successfully we can implement these ideas in real life, in schools. And based on many studies made in Finland past 30 years, we could do it better. And I will in next slide I will show the critical points of view from Finnish school system and education for democracy. But what we try to do is now that it should be more implemented in everyday life routines. You mean, I mean, in as a way of, we say it as a way of life or way of living, as John Dewey defined the idea of education for democracy in school. I think we should do it more this way in everyday life, in classrooms, where students should have more possibilities for decision making and other activities which are representing active democratic citizenship and democratic citizenship, because school is the place where young children should have the possibility to practice what it means to be a democratic citizen in the society. So more action in grassroots level. That's what I think, and many others in Finnish society. But not only in classroom, but also in close cooperation with other stakeholders in society, especially in the neighborhood of each school. More interaction with stakeholders near the school, more interaction and activities representing democracy in schools. Now we are having too much just paper. Everything is in paper. We have a normative basis. We have a will. All democratic policy papers are emphasizing the importance of education for democracy as making more democratic society, but there is a gap between the aims and the action. And why? Well, I think we have done something. I already mentioned that the spaces, classrooms are representing or making democracy possible or not. When there is just rows and you look your the other pupil's neck, it's not very good, starting point for democracy. But when thinking about the new spaces, which you can see there, it's, it makes it more, possible. It makes it easier when you are, close to each other, you see them, you have possibility to have a more relaxed feeling, more informal design, and then it's, it's promotes democracy as itself, as a environment for making democracy visible and possible. I think we still have these three kind of schools in Finland. We are, going towards more cooperative school, where the social political dimensions are among concepts of solidarity, fairness, hope, and democracy. And the pedagogy will be based more on collaboration and problem-derived or phenomenon-based learning. But still, it still has characters from the old discipline school, where the traditional values, very teacher-driven learning methods, and division into subjects are, dominant in school system. There has been a lot of rumors that the Finnish school system is not based anymore on subject, but that's not a true. We still have a very subject-based curriculum, but we have more and more phenomenon-based themes as well. But the balance, we are still far away that leaving subjects behind of us, and I don't think it's a good idea at all. But the balance that we have broader aims and we have special aims, and then we need both. We need cross-curricular themes and modules in school, but of course we need divisions in the subjects as well. And in the middle of cooperative school and discipline school is a competition school, where the working life focus is strong, individualism is strong, pedagogical dimensions based on individual learning and constructivism. And as I said, our schools are kind of a mixture of all these three different kind of schools. But I think we have more will for cooperative school. But as I said, we need more, better strategies and activities for implementation of this. I was making a democracy and human rights education in Finland a report or survey or study a few years ago, and it was released in 2023. I think if I look at the situation, then I think there is 5 most important ratings from that report. Well, as I said, we have a representative democracy, and it's very emphasized in school. I think that it's important to have representative as representative parts in the school, like school councils, but it's not enough. It's only for let's say few. I mean, only few pupils are really active then, and the rest of the school not. And that's the big problem based on studies we have done about the representative bodies in school system. And of course, what is problem is that pupils doesn't have enough power, for example, to be part of the decision making. More or less, for example, school students' councils are planning parties, not real school life questions. We don't have systematic education for democracy in school. There is part of that in each subject and in some cross-curricular themes, but it's not based on systematic learning path, for example. Contents do not deepen during the school years. There are, as I said, there are contents, there are methods, etc., but there ain't no systematic path how to deepen understanding of democracy in school. Based on polarization, we have more hostile attitudes towards minorities in school, and they are some parts of Finland, they are very visible, which is very, very bad thing, and we should really take care of this trend more than we actually do nowadays. And one of the character is based on the individual school is that we focus on individual learning in school quite a lot, and then why not to use peer groups more when learning, for example, democracy. So because of those different kind of school system and, for example, individuality, when it's emphasized, then it's quite difficult to construct strong democratic education and participation in school. And thus, it should be very systematic that when they are 9th graders, they really understand what is democracy and what's my part in democracy and what are the values, attitudes, skills, and knowledge I need to be an active citizenship. So if I would very shortly describe our democracy and education for democracy, I think we have a lot of will, we have strong normative basis, but we should do it better in real life, in schools. We are still connected very traditional things and actions, but we should be more innovative and take pupils and children more strongly for the work we are doing in school, not as objectives, targets, or as pupils, but also as equal developers of the school. And the only way we can do it is by giving them more power. And I have created 4 scenarios for the future work. Okay, things could be better. I mean, we could have less democracy in the society, which would be a catastrophe. Of course, if we would have less democracy in school, then I think the democratic state of Finland would be decreasing then, and then there would be no development. Thinking about that, I don't believe of that, even if the times are quite hard when looking what is happening in the global context. Then it's of course possible to strengthen the contemporary system. I mean, we have students' councils. Okay, let's develop them. We have certain contents described in the curriculum, and we have cross-curricular themes. Okay, we could develop those things, but I think this is not enough. We need more to make a gap between the normative basis and the school everyday life smaller than it's now. And then I think there could be a radical change, but I don't think this will happen very soon. But I think this is maybe reflecting the most the idea we still have. As I described, democratic values in action and democracy as a way of life in school, which are represented by the scholars of John Dewey and Gert Piesta. And classroom practices are important, then we would have more direct democracy activities in school. And of course, digital democracy. That's one of the possibilities as well. But what is important is that we create real possibilities for students to become part of decision-making in classrooms and school level as well. And then, as I said, I'm repeating myself, cooperation with other stakeholders in society, those who are near the school. And I think, for example, making the common good for all the people living neighborhood of the school is one of the big things most of us are willing to see in future as part of the school activities. Okay, but as I said, this kind of radical changes it's far away, and this kind of changes doesn't happen in one day. They are taking years, tens of years, etc. But I think we should strengthen it more, not only in the level of speech, but in the level of actions in classrooms, in schools. One character in Finnish system is that schools are still, even if they have autonomy and teachers have pedagogical freedom, there is still pretty strong cohesion how schools are running and what teachers are doing in school, and that's an interesting part of our school ethos, that there is not so much of different kind of developmental decisions, even if it would be based on the idea and system we have. What is the most expected change? I think is that we will have some new modules as mandatory or optional part of school's everyday life. And one of those examples is service learning. I don't know if you know what it means, but service learning is implemented in some countries, some schools. For example, in Germany, Australia, it means that the pupils go to do some civil service in this way understood for the neighborhood to make common good. For example, they will go and help those who need help in the society. They would go to read for old peoples to help them in their homeworks. take care of the environment of the neighborhood, whatever which is seen under the common good. And for example, in Germany, I have seen how it is implemented is that they have certain amount of lessons. They will do it, let's say 20 or 30. And they will do some kind of a report, and they have a discussion at the end of this module. What this kind of service meant to me. They share their ideas, what they made, and then they think about the importance of a common good and this kind of activities as part of the civil society and part of the strong democracy. And what I like this kind of activities is that it's hands-on. Pupils do something, and then it will be conceptualized and framed by teachers, not as an experience, but also as a part of civil society and part of democratic citizenship. But we'll see. Democracy needs always take care. I mean, if we don't take care of democracy will not survive as it is now, and thus schools' role in this taking care of democracy is evident, because without this, the commitment of young peoples towards democracy is not so strong as we now would like to see. Thank you.